Hey there, everyone. Thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about All These Monsters by Amy Quintera. I have to say, I really did like this novel because it really does focus in on what it means to be a monster while also tackling the topic of abuse. So you have your main character, and she is from an abusive home. So the world is similar to our world. It is based a lot in reality, but there are monsters. They're called scraps. Scraps? Scabs? One of those. um, I'm being pretty sure it's scraps. And they are subterranean monsters. They attack um, without remorse. They have claws. They really are monsters. And I think it's a really interesting story because she's part of an abusive home. In fact, the story begins with her mother saying, their dad's coming back. And she's like, no, 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 no. No, I don't want dad coming back. And she's like, you're telling me you're skipping school to fight. And it's not really fighting, it's self-defense lessons. Really, big surprise. She's not doing well in some of her classes. Her brother is getting a job out of state or out of the city, so she's gonna need the help. She's like, he says he's sorry. That's the thing, though, isn't it? Abusers always say they're sorry and that'll never happen again. And then it does. Because how many times in this book already has this happened where the mom's like, no, go. And then she welcomes him back. I mean, she is just, she is as equally culpable as the father. She is an enabler. She doesn't stop him. She accepts his apology because he's sorry and she loves him, and he would never do anything to her, but her daughter is fair game, right? I mean, he put her head through the drywall. And what does the mother do? She gets cheap pictures from, Home Goods or Michael's, and she sticks them up over the holes to hide the abuse. I mean, come on. Come on. I mean, times may get tough, but that doesn't mean you welcome an abuser back into your home. And I really do like her brother. Her brother does what he can. But sometimes he ends up just making the situation worse. Sometimes he just kind of sits back until he helps his sister run away. What does she do? She runs away to join a private sector of monster hunting. So she leaves an abusive home to go fight dangerous monsters. That just tells you how how dangerous her life at home is for her, and I really do think it speaks volumes. I really love stories with lots of subtext. I think if you've been following my reviews, you're kind of already aware that I like stories with depth and with subtext. I do like stories, they don't have to have that, and just to read for entertainment value. But I appreciate the stories that have the subtext a little bit more, and All These Monsters has that subtext. Your main character, she's trying to figure out her life. She's running away from an abusive situation, and she's headed into a very dangerous situation. However, she would rather risk her life fighting monsters than lose her life at home. I mean, how many times is it in the news, or right now during the pandemic, there are a lot of people out there who are stuck at home with their abusers. And it's a terrifying thing. They have no place to go because of COVID. It's very disheartening. So you have to imagine it plays out in real life a lot. They welcome their abusers back home. They're like, oh, he says he's sorry. He really meant it this time. And then how many times has it been in the news that they die? It's really sad. So that's why I like this novel. I think it's very eye-opening. I think it really does challenge this whole section of abuse and monstrosity, because he is a monster. Yeah, monsters aren't just creatures that look like monsters. Monsters are abuser. And I'm not a big fan of her mother for enabling him or welcoming him back in the home. You know, she's like, I love him. He says he's sorry. No, that's not okay. It's not okay. I don't know what issues this guy has, but he has issues and he needs to work through them. You know, and it's just his daughter that he mistreats the most, you know, not his older son, not his wife, it's his daughter. So there's something about how he views her that triggers him to abuse her the most. I'm not really sure what it is. I really don't care. There's no excuse for abuse. But again, that's why I like the story, because it's really eye-opening. And it really does highlight the fact that monsters aren't just creatures. Monsters can be the person next to you. And for the main character, it's a struggle for her because she never wants to be like her mother. You know, she acknowledges that her mother is an enabler, and she acknowledges that she does not want to be, you know, um, like her mother. And, you know, then she meets a fellow cadet who, you know, he's a runaway and he empathizes with her. In his case, it was his mother who abused him physically, let her boyfriends, you know, burn cigarettes on him like it was no problem. I mean, so abusers are not just men. Women can be abusers too. It's a thing. I feel like there's this double standard that, oh, women can't be abusers. No, women can be equally as abusive as men. And it's really sad. You know, a lot of women like to play the victim. And I'm not saying there aren't women victims. There are. Um, but some women out there are truly awful. And this kid's mother is an example of that. She abused her son. She would just let her boyfriends also beat up on her son because it was fun to watch. So already, you see another form of abuse in the story. It's a little more extreme than what she was going through. The main character is more extreme, but it is a reflection of how abuse can come in many forms. Um, it can be presented by any gender. So I really did like that. And I also liked how they're both kind of runaways. I mean, they both are runaways. They both ran away from tough situations and are now risking their lives fighting monsters. Again, it speaks volumes. But what's also interesting is, you know, our main character, she starts dating one of the recruitment guys, and there's not a big age difference. I think it's about 2 years. You know, they're all pretty much young adults, teens, new adults, in that kind of age group. You can be as young as 16 to become a cadet, and I'm pretty sure she's 17. So her brother forged her father's signature to help her. You know, he helped her escape, and I do like her brother for that. But she finds herself in kind of the same situation as her mother. And it's really eye-opening because as you're reading it, you really don't see all the signs at the beginning. And I think that's how abuse starts. You know, it's a lot of, sometimes it's gaslighting, you know, making you feel guilty, making you feel like you did something wrong. So, versus, you know, you didn't do anything wrong. They make themselves to be the victim in this situation to make you feel bad. So I thought that was really interesting to see the whole evolution and rise of an abusive relationship and couple, because she doesn't see it at first either. You know, our main character, she has no idea that this is an abusive relationship. So it's really interesting to see this and to see her awaken as well, because she's recognizing the pattern. She's recognizing the behavior. She is saying, no, this is not okay. So I really did like this progression and this character development for her. I really do think it added a lot of layers to the storytelling. And again, the whole scope of the novel is they are fighting actual monsters, but the story is highlighting how monsters aren't just these creatures that look like monsters. Monsters can be the boy or girl next door who look really innocent. You know, looks can be deceiving. They are basically wolves in sheep clothing, you know. As cliche as that saying is, it's very accurate and it's very true. And I think that that's part of why I really like this novel, because there's lots of subtext and it is awakening. So I think it's really good for everyone to read this book, because you are on this journey with this main character. You're pinpointing everything wrong. You're seeing the patterns of an abusive relationship. And I think, you know, a lot of people are like this main character. We don't really realize we're in an abusive, toxic relationship until it's too late, or, you know, yeah, until it's too late. But luckily for our main character, you know, she was able to escape it. She fought back. She made a stand. And that's the part of this story that I really liked. I really do think it focuses on characterization and the plot premise, and I really do think it gives the reader a well thought out, well-rounded narrative to enjoy. So I'm going to go ahead and give all these monsters 4 out of 5 stars. Not quite 5. You know, it had really good pacing, but there's just something, it didn't just blow me away. And I like to reserve my 5s for books that blow me away. It was well thought out. It was constructed very well. There is a lot of characterization in it, lots of character growth. And again, it does have that depth to keep you engaged. And I do think it is also very informative as well. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 out of 5 stars. Yay! Highly recommend All These Monsters by Amy Dara. I will provide a link in the description below if you wanted to purchase this book. Please purchase from your local bookseller, Barnes & Noble, Indie Bub, Better World Book Depository. Support your bookstores by buying from online book retailers and not just Amazon, please. You know, they get enough business. They don't need our book business too. We should support our booksellers. And you can also do that by purchasing off of bookshop.org, which does send a percentage of proceeds to a local bookstore in your neighborhood or one you specifically want to support. Now, if money's tight, I get it, pandemic. Lots of people are still on furlough. Please check out the book from your local library. Libraries are a great resource for the community. Definitely deserve all the support we can get. You can go there. You can get ebook copies. You can get audiobook copies from your Libby app or Overdrive app. You just need a library card, and you can get digital ones from your local library on their actual website. And you can also get physical copies, which are always the best in my opinion. You just can't beat the smell and feel of an actual book. On that note, I hope you all will continue to support me by liking this video and subscribing to my channel and sharing with all your book-loving friends. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.